Hey guys, Crypto Haze here, back once again with another cryptocurrency video. So, here's the deal. I've noticed that there seems to be a lot of interest in the Nicehash miner, right? My video with the second most views is the one I did regarding the Nicehash miner. In-depth review, how to set it up and all that. Here's the deal though. I have not used that. I've not used the Nicehash miner now for some time. I wanted to do a video today to let you guys know why I'm not using Nicehash miner and what the pros and cons are of some of the other options. Well, actually just one option, specifically what we're going to talk about today. So first, I want to talk about the pros of Nicehash miner. Just real quick, go over it again. So, Nicehash miner, super easy to set up. Super easy. Right? The way it works is it automatically selects the most profitable coin to mine on your hardware at the time that you're mining. It will actually switch from one coin to another when the profitability changes. So it's a handy thing, and it always pays out in Bitcoin. Paying out in Bitcoin is a really nice thing, especially right now with the price of Bitcoin 43, 44. That's a good price. You know, so you're mining Ethereum or Zcash or something else, and you're getting paid out in Bitcoin. You can't go wrong with Bitcoin. I mean, seriously. So, I mean, that's a great thing. You gotta love that. It doesn't give you an option, though. If you're mining Ethereum and you want Ethereum, then you have to take your Bitcoin and trade it for Ethereum. If you're mining Zcash and you want Zcash, so you want to hold it for the long term because you think you're going to get a good percentage increase out of it, you're going to have to take your Bitcoin from Nicehash and sell it for Zcash. And of course, you're going to lose a little bit doing that because there's transaction fees. So, pro or con. Some of the more negative things about using Nicehash miner is their fees can be as high as 4%. And the details about their fee structure I outlined in my video that I previously did about Nicehash. In addition, if you are using third-party miners with the with the Nicehash miner, you can have additional fees on top of that. So the Claymore miner, which is really popular, really efficient, really profitable, they have a built-in 2% developer fee. So the developers take 2% right off the bat from you using their miner. So if you're using Nicehash and you're mining Ethereum, let's say you're dual mining, you're using the Claymore dual miner, Ethereum Decred, that's what Nicehash always wanted to do on my hardware, right? So 4% fee from Nicehash, 2% fee from the Claymore miner, 6% right off the top. The 2% for Claymore, I really don't mind because they do quality work, they put out a quality product, they update it regularly. I give them props. I'm happy to let them get their 2%. But 4% for Nicehash is a little bit high considering basically what they're doing is just sort of managing my mining for me. And I'm more of, I prefer to do the management myself. Do my research, test different coins, different miners, and figure out what actually works best for me. That's my preference. Alright, so another issue with Nicehash is they only pay out once per week. And you have to meet the minimum payout threshold to get a payout on that payday that week. If you haven't met that minimum threshold, you don't get paid that week. You have to wait another week. And then you get paid out the accumulation between the two weeks. So that can be a pain when there are options where you can get paid out daily or even more often than that. So what's the alternative? What are the veterans doing? And to be honest, I'm not a veteran. I'm still relatively new in the crypto scene. But so what I've been doing is a lot of research, and what I'm sharing with you is what I've learned from the veterans that have been around for a while that really do know what they're talking about. So I'm happy to share that with you. If what I learned from them is good for me, then I hope it's going to be good for you too. So I'm operating on Windows operating system with AMD GPUs, AMD graphics cards. So the best option for me is the Claymore miner, and we're talking about the Claymore Zcash miner, because it turns out for me Zcash is actually a little more profitable than even Ethereum. So there's a lot of different options out there for different miners. We'll kind of look briefly at some of the options in a little bit. So I did do a couple of videos regarding Claymore Zcash miner and how to set it up and configure it for the Supernova mining pool. I was using that mining pool for a few weeks. It worked out fine. However, I ended up finding the Flypool mining pool for Zcash. It has some benefits. So that's what we're going to look into today. So Zcash, why is Zcash something that you want to mine? Well, first of all, so you can mine a good amount of shares of Zcash even with medium range GPUs. Can still turn an acceptable profit, and most likely even better than Ethereum right now. You also can mine Zcash on your CPU. Unless you have a super high-end CPU, you're probably not gonna get much out of that. But if you're already mining Zcash on your GPUs, then putting it on your CPU also is just gonna add, you know, a little bit more hash rate to your total, right? Zcash has a pretty decent rate. Today, it's up about 15%. Obviously, it doesn't gain 15% of its value every day. Today just happens to be a good day for it. Honestly, personally, I think Zcash is a great option for holding long term. I see a great future for it. I really see it doubling its value in the next handful of months, like by the end of the year. Right now it's late August of 2017, so by the end of 2017 I see it hitting 500 possibly. What is it right now? 274 is where it's at right now. And finally, Zcash transaction fees are very, very minimal, very small, very reasonable, especially compared to Bitcoin. If you've ever tried to do a transaction with Bitcoin in terms of a small denomination, you almost pay more in the transaction fee than what you're actually sending. So, the transaction fees that apply to the currency that you're using is an important factor to consider. So, also I feel it's important. I think we need to do some comparison between Ethereum and Zcash mining, because they are basically neck and neck in terms of mining profitability right now. So there are some issues with Ethereum right now. And I apologize, give me a second here. I'm going off a cheat sheet, so just need to scroll down here. So first, people, especially miners, are starting to lose faith in Ethereum's core developers for a couple of reasons. So the core developers want to move Ethereum from a proof of work algorithm to a proof of stake. Now, proof of work benefits miners, proof of stake benefits people that are holding coin. So, towards that end, the core developers have begun arbitrarily bumping up the mining difficulty to reduce the number of miners that are on the Ethereum network. So, let me switch the screen here. And we're going to look at the Ethereum mining difficulty over the last 3 months. Alright. So, if we look at this, we can see that there was a bump up here. Whereas there's basically a pretty steady trend up to that point, and then there's a pretty significant bump all in one day. Then it goes along, pretty consistent trend, and then an even bigger bump, and so on and so forth. And then just yesterday, the most significant bump in Ethereum mining difficulty that has happened yet just happened yesterday. If you were barely turning a profit with your Ethereum mining before that, or before even this first arbitrary bump in the mining difficulty, you might be sitting at a point now where you're mining in the negative, where your equipment costs, your cooling costs, and your power expense total more than what you're actually getting in Ethereum. So that's a little bit of an issue. So also there's an issue with the core developers for Ethereum. There's some inconsistencies with their plans and how they're actually putting them into place. So what I mean by that is, from what I understand, there was supposed to be a move to a hybrid proof of work / proof of stake already. Hasn't happened. They pushed it back. Now, that makes it difficult for anyone trying to plan for the future, right? So you spent some money on a mining rig and you're mining Ethereum, and you're doing calculations, and you can hopefully project that the mining difficulty is going to go up at a relatively steady rate over time. You don't have that right now. And also, again, I'm not an expert, but it seems to me that some of the value of Ethereum could potentially go away because all these miners are going to get away from it. They don't want it. It's not for them anymore. It's no longer profitable to mine. And aside from that, what the developers are doing and how they're doing it is causing uncertainty. You can't have a great increase in value with uncertainty. They don't mesh. It's like oil and water. They don't mix. So, moving on, the price of Ethereum and Zcash have both been pretty sideways lately. What that means is there hasn't been a whole lot of up or down, right? They've both kind of stayed where they're at least in the recent times. So if we look at the Ether price, this is over the last 3 months. You can see up a little bit, down a little bit, back up a little bit, but pretty sideways, pretty stable, stagnant, whichever term you want to use. Zcash, okay, let's look at the last 3 months. Almost exactly the same, right? But Zcash, in my opinion, has a better future. Mainly because the core developers for Zcash are not trying to make it into something that it's not. It is what it is. It's valuable. It's got a future. People like it. People are mining it. People are buying it. People are holding it. And there's, at least right now, there's absolutely no uncertainty in regards to what might happen with it in the near future. Alright, so I apologize, I went off on a tangent, but I really felt that it was important to go through that really quick. So, Flypool. Flypool is the pool that I'm using right now. I moved from Supernova to Flypool because they do have some better options for me. Real quick, the reason that happened was because Supernova actually went down at one point several weeks ago. They weren't down for very long, but that forced me to look into, okay, what other pools are out there that I can use as a backup. And so I found Flypool, and I ended up switching to Flypool as my primary, and I have Supernova as a backup. So, Flypool, one of the things that's really great about it is their fee is only 1%, as opposed to a possible maximum of 4% with Nicehash, plus the 2% if you're using a Claymore miner. With Zcash on Flypool, there is no transaction fee for payouts over 0.01 Zcash. It is not difficult to reach that threshold. I only have 2 GPUs, and only one of them is really decent. The other one is kind of halfway decent. I have a R9 390 and an R9 380. A 4 gig card and a 2 gig card. That's what I'm running. So the if you read right here, payment threshold in Zcash, minimum 0.001 Zcash, maximum 10 Zcash. If set to less than 2.01 Zcash, a fixed transaction fee of 0.0002 Zcash will be deducted from the paid amount. So what that means, if you set your automatic payout threshold to 0.01, then you do not pay a transaction fee for that. Now, on my 2 graphics cards that I'm using, I get a payout. Let's go here. About every 19 hours. So this one, the 40 hours, my internet was down for 26 hours straight. That's why that one's higher. But if you look through the list here, you can see pretty consistently it averages about 19 hours. I get that payout. Okay, and then the other thing, obviously, big difference from Nicehash, is you don't have a set payout day. You don't have to wait for payday and hope you meet the minimum payout requirement to actually get paid on that day. As you can see here, if we look at this list, I got paid out on the 26th, the 25th, the 24th, 22nd, because internet problem in between there, twice on the 22nd actually, 21st, 20th, 19th, 18th, twice on the 18th. They're smaller payouts, but there's no transaction fee involved with it, so why not? For me, it was really inconvenient to not know if I was going to get a payout this week or if I'd have to wait another week. And if, say, for example, power went out from a thunderstorm, or my internet was down, or not working well enough to get proper mining done, that could affect whether or not I was even going to get a payout that week. Wasn't a big fan of that. Alright, so Zcash mining on Flypool. So, like I mentioned before, I'm on Windows and I have AMD CPUs. So, or GPUs, sorry. So, that's what we're going to look at if we go to their homepage. This is the homepage for the pool, zcash.flypool.org. Of course, all relevant links will be in the description. So you can go right here, first of all, to get your mining software. So, Windows AMD, that's me. They have 3 different miners listed here with download links and examples on how to configure them. I like Claymore. It works good for me. So, let's go ahead and grab it. Right click, open a new tab. And that brings us to the forum post where this is made available to the public. And if we scroll down a little bit, we can see there's 2 links to download it from. So I'm just going to use the Google Drive link. However, I'm going to do it from a different browser. I'm going to actually download it with Firefox. The reason I do that is because Chrome, Internet Explorer, and Edge, they can try to block the download because it's a zip file that contains an executable. Firefox doesn't do that. So we are going to copy link address, go to my programs here, and locate Firefox. which of course wants to install updates. Alright, well hopefully this shouldn't take too long. Seems to be moving along pretty quickly. Alright, here we go. So now we can paste and go. That should bring us to the Google Drive page. Now, the most current ones are actually going to be at the end of the list. This one, if you mouse over it, is for Linux. This one, if you mouse over it, says Catalyst. So those are your AMD drivers that you use on Windows. So that's the one that we want. Gonna hit download. And it comes up right here. So I'm going to right click and open containing folder. Now we can get rid of Firefox because we're done with that. So here we go. This is what we downloaded. It's a zip file. And so I'm just going to take this, copy it, get rid of that. I'm just going to dump it on my desktop. Just paste it there. Now, there is no installation. There is no installer. You don't have to install this, right? All you do, extract it. So I'm just going to say extract all. And that's a perfectly fine location. And there we go. So it actually extracted to my desktop. So it's right here. Alright. So we're just going to go into it. And this is what you get. So right off the bat, there's only 3 important files that you want to look at here. The first one, you're not going to do anything with this. It is just the executable. It is the miner. It is the software that actually does the work. You don't run it directly because it needs some configuration. The start.bat file is what you want to use to put in your configuration details. There is a config file which you can use, but you don't need to. So we're not really going to talk about that. The third one is your README file. This one is important. We're going to open it up. This tells you everything you need to know about how to set it up and configure it. Right? So we're just going to put that over there, because what we want to work with right now is the start.bat file. So I'm going to right click on that and select edit. Run, yes. So you can see there's essentially nothing here except that it's calling the executable. But we need to be able to tell the executable, look, I want you to mine to my pool for my wallet. So we need to give it a little bit of information. And your pool homepage is going to give you examples of exactly how to do that. So here's the generic formula that you need to follow. So mine is zpool space the server address space minus zwall, your wallet address, dot worker name, minus zpsw, and that's the password for your worker. So we're just going to go ahead and take that as our generic template, copy that, go to our start.bat, plaster that in there. Now for the server, we get that from our mining pool page. So I'm in the US, so I want their US server, us1-zcash.flypool.org. I copy that right here. Now, the server also needs a port number specified. So if we look here, Stratum port 3333. Great. Alternate Stratum port 13333. A lot of threes there. Anyway, encrypted Stratum port 3443. I personally use the encrypted, so I'm going to go with that. And the way that goes in there, you can look at this example. Nope, you want this example, right? So after your pool address, put a colon and your port number. Right, so we're going to do that. Now, the other very important thing to note is when you're using the secure encrypted connection, you need to specify that you're wanting to use that protocol. And the way you do that is by having the SSL : / in front of the address. So you can see we don't currently have that. Now we do. Very important to have that in there. It will not connect to the pool if that's missing and you're using the secure encrypted port number. If you're using 3333, then it'll connect fine without that. So the next thing is your address. Now this is your when you're using Flypool, your login ID with Flypool, which is actually what it needs here, is actually your payout wallet address. That's what it's looking for here. So in my case, it happens to be right here. This is my dashboard, so it already has that info. Wallet address .worker. Now worker can literally be anything. Ideally you want it to be a name that represents the hardware that you're mining with. If you have multiple mining rigs, you can have like rig 1, rig 2, rig 15. If you just have one computer and so you're using one miner to mine on your GPUs and a separate miner to mine with your CPU, if you're doing CPU miners, CPU mining, you can have a different worker name for the CPU miner. And then when you're looking on your pool at your stats, you can see what miner is doing what. Okay, so for this video, I'm going to use Merlin as my worker name because that happens to be the name of my computer. That's what I named it. Alright, then the next thing is ZPSW. That is your worker password. If you need to log into your pool website with a username and password, that password is not your worker password. Do not put that in here. That password gives you access to your pool's dashboard, admin site settings, all that. Your worker password is usually just X or sometimes Z. And if anybody gets their hands on that password, the only thing they can do with it is mine into your account. So free money. Does not need to be a secure password. That's why usually it's just X. Right? So there it is. Password X. Alright. Now there is just one more thing that actually two more things real quickly. The next thing you need to do that is actually not mentioned in the pool information, but is mentioned in the miner's README file, is you have to set these environment variables. So I'm not going to read all the details. We're just going to try to get this done rather quickly. These environment variables need to be set prior to the miner executable being called. So you want to put that above your configuration line in the miner. And in order to get these actually set, what you do is type in set X space before each one of these lines. So I'm just going to copy that to the front of each of these. Okay, that's done. Now we're just going to go ahead and save that. Alright, so that's our start file. The other thing you need to do, and this is in the README file, if you want to read more about it, you need to set your virtual memory on Windows to a minimum of 16 gigs. So to do that, on your start menu, you right click on computer, select properties. So this is your computer properties, advanced system settings. You want the advanced tab. You want performance. See, it says performance here. I'm going to hit the settings button there and the advanced tab. And here you're going to have your virtual memory settings. So you hit change, gives you yet another window. Select custom, and you want to set this to 16,000 for 16 gigabytes, and set this to 16,000 for 16 gigabytes. I personally, because I have extra space, I went ahead and set mine to 20 gigabytes and 24 gigabytes. Alright, but this needs to be a minimum of 16. Now, when you make this change, you will need to restart your computer. Otherwise, the change will not take effect. Obviously, I'm not going to do that now because I didn't actually have to make the change. I already had it set that way. Alright, so there's our configuration file. We have our virtual memory set. We should be good to go. Let's see what happens. So to start it up, once again, you right click and edit start.bat. That's your configuration file. It's got your pool, it's got your wallet, it's got your worker name and password, it's got the environment variables. Double click, run, see what it does. So right off the bat, it's setting those environment variables. It's checking out the hardware. It should be trying to connect to the pool now. Usually only... Okay. Connected, authorized. We got an error. You're gonna find this funny. Let me go ahead and close that. The reason we got an error is because I'm actually already running that miner. See, it's running right here. You don't want to run more than one instance of a miner on the same hardware. Doesn't work. So let me go ahead and kill this one, and let's try that just one more time. Run. Give that a moment to get everything situated. Okay, so I was hoping this would happen. It should come up, and your firewall should request if you should allow this to have access or not. Of course, you want to say allow access. And so as you can see here, it connected on the secure connection SSL/TLS, authorized, share found, share found, share found, share found, share found. And in my case, I've got 2 GPUs. GPU 0 is my primary. It's the better one. It's going to perform better, get more shares. But GPU 1 is getting involved also, collecting shares. So on your mining pool website, you can log in or access your miner's activity by connecting to the wallet address that you have configured into your miner. So you do that just by up the very top. You go from their home page, the address box. You put in your wallet address, just your wallet address, check status, and it's going to bring you to a page like this where you have dashboard, payouts, settings. And so here you can see my current effective hash rate and the average effective hash rate. You can see it dip down pretty low here. That was actually, I had the miner shut off for about a half hour. So that's what we're seeing there. So you can monitor what it's doing. Valid shares versus stale or invalid shares. You shouldn't see anything but blue here. If you see orange or green, a lot of it, then there's something wrong, either with your miner configuration or your hardware is possibly too overclocked or not getting enough power or something like that, right? And then you've got your payouts. We looked at this briefly before. My payouts about every 19 hours. And then your settings. There's not much here. Basically, you can set email alerts if you want. I don't bother with it. And your payout threshold, which you can specify. Again, if you set it to 0.01 or more, you don't have a transaction fee, right? So hey guys, we're mining Zcash. Minimal fees, no transaction fee for withdrawal. We're actually getting the Zcash, not Bitcoin, and I'm happy with holding Zcash. Let me go ahead, grab my wallet here real quick, the one that my Zcash is actually going to. So here's my Zcash. This essentially represents 11 payouts worth $31. not bad. And you don't have to wait a week or 2 weeks to actually get something that you can use. Right now I'm just holding it. There was a period of time where I was reinvesting it as quickly as I could acquire it. Right now I'm still reinvesting, but it's other currencies that I'm using for reinvestment. So the Zcash, I'm just holding it. I like holding that. I think that's a good one to hold. Alright guys, so definitely stay tuned. You know, there's a lot more coming up. I will be doing another video on some of the Zcash miners that are compatible with NVIDIA GPUs. I'm also going to be doing another update on some faucets and cloud mining. There's been a lot of questions on wallets. There's so many wallets out there. They're all so different. What's the best? Is there a best? And so on. So definitely going to do something on that also. So please stay tuned. Guys, if you did find this video to be informative, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, leave me a comment. Like, seriously, let me know what I did wrong. If I went over something too fast, if I completely missed something, or my audio is terrible, my video is terrible, Lord knows. Let me know. I'm happy to receive all critique. I'm more than happy to look at it and, you know, see what I can do. Always want to put out the best material that I possibly can for you guys. So, once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, be cool.